Hello, thank you for viewing this presentation regarding the shift in Pennsylvania's academic standards which has occurred over the last 5 years. My name is Tom Volker. I am the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Technology at the Brandywine Heights Area School District. During the presentation, I will be discussing the following topics in this order. I thought it was important to provide a little history about the standards, then shift into what has changed, and then provide more perspective. Let's get started. When the words Common Core are mentioned, there are often political undertones. During this presentation, I'm not advocating for or against these newer changes. I will be strictly sticking to facts, as the purpose of this presentation is to inform. The standard movement arrived in the later 1990s with the Pennsylvania Academic Standards. Curriculum and assessments, mainly the Pennsylvania System of School Assessment, or PSSAs, were aligned to these sets of standards. Over the last 2 decades, many lessons have been learned. In 2010, many governors across the nation adopted the Common Core state standards. Pennsylvania was no different. However, between the years of 2010 and 2013, Pennsylvania chose to create a set of PA Core standards in English Language Arts, or ELA, and mathematics. The goal was to make the national Common Core standards our own by combining the content of the Common Core standards with the format of the previous Pennsylvania academic standards. Since the standards have shifted to the new PA Core standards, the state standardized assessments had to change as well. This has been a gradual process, and the 2014-2015 school year is actually the first year the PSSA is fully based on the new standards. The following slides will identify the major shifts which occurred as a result of the shift to the new PA Core standards. As you can see, there are 6 main areas impacted as a result of the standard shift. As I review these changes, you might start noticing some recurring themes. The first area listed is focus. The previous Pennsylvania academic standards were notorious for being a mile wide and an inch deep. The Common Core, or PA Core standards, were written to narrow what is covered, but address topics more deeply. The new standards were also designed to achieve improved coherence. The pyramids weren't built in a day, and neither is a child's education. Several topics require an annual revisit to fully comprehend. Fluency is identified specifically within the new standards, as it is difficult to gain deep understanding on mathematical concepts without having the basic facts mastered. Deep understanding refers to a student's ability to not just utilize an algorithm to achieve the correct answer, but fully understand the math behind the algorithm and why it works. Along the lines of higher-order thinking skills, application focuses on students' ability to select appropriate concepts and/or strategies for a given situation without prompts. Often, in real life, individuals are not always given all the information needed, or are given more information than is needed. Effort is spent ensuring students know how to apply the skills learned. Dual intensity means that both practicing and understanding don't happen in isolation, and both happen with intensity. Teachers create opportunities for students to participate in drills and then make use of those skills through extended application of math concepts. There are 8 standards of mathematical practice identified within the new PA Core standards. The result is that students are now asked to work at a higher level. They must justify, explain their work, make connections, and work in a more open-ended environment. They are able to do so a little more freely, pending they can justify their work with sound mathematical methodology. As one can imagine, shifting from one set of standards to another will result in some content shifting between grades. Within math, several concepts dropped grade levels, meaning that they were taught in a higher grade before, but those same skills are now expected of students at a younger grade. One common theme throughout this presentation, you probably noticed, is that students are expected to comprehend content more deeply than before. As such, it is a good time to discuss depth of knowledge. DOK is a scale of cognitive demand from 1 to 4 based on the research of Norman Webb. Level 1 questions focus on the most basic cognitive processes, basic recall. Level 2 requires students to take that factual knowledge and apply it. This level generally requires students to compare or contrast people, places, events, and concepts, convert information from one form to another, classify or sort items into meaningful categories, etc. Level 3 items demand a short-term use of higher-order thinking processes, such as analysis and evaluation, to solve real-world problems with predictable outcomes. Stating one's reasoning is a key marker of tasks that fall into this particular category. The expectation established for tasks at this level tend to require coordination of knowledge and skill from multiple subject matter areas to carry out processes and reach a solution in a project-based setting. Level 4 demands extended use of higher-order thinking processes such as synthesis, reflection, assessment, and adjustment of plans over time. Students are engaged in conducting investigations to solve real-world problems with unpredictable outcomes. Employing and sustaining strategic thinking processes over a longer period of time to solve the problem is a key feature of curricular objectives that are assigned to this level. Questions on previous year's PSSAs averaged between Depth of Knowledge Level 1 and 2 questions. Now, with the shift to PA Core Standards, PSSA questions average between Depth of Knowledge Level 2 and 3 questions. With all of that being said, it is important to not confuse depth of knowledge with difficulty. Depth of knowledge refers to the complexity of mental processing that must occur due to a question. Difficulty refers to the likeliness that a student will answer the question correctly. Rigor is another common word tossed around now with the advent of the PA Core Standards, so we should discuss what that is and what it is not. These slides try to explain that rigor ties together much of what we've discussed so far. Rigorous work in mathematics requires a deep knowledge of the content, analytical reasoning, and use of appropriate tools. Additionally, it requires fluency with basic skills and the ability to implement appropriate skills, strategies, to become successful mathematical thinkers. Like depth of knowledge, rigor should not be synonymous with difficulty. Shifting gears slightly, now I would like to discuss how the PA Core Standards impact English language arts. Understand that some of the major trends carry over to this content area as well, specifically in regards to depth of knowledge and rigor. One of the biggest areas of change is the increase in the amount of non-fictional text that is required. Through a balanced literacy approach in the areas of reading, writing, and speaking, students are expected to extrapolate evidence from text. Like mathematics, it is no longer good enough to simply have the correct answer. Answers must be rationalized with concrete examples from text. Text complexity has been directly addressed within the new standards. Students must be challenged within complex texts and read closely for deeper understanding. The expectation is that students will now be exposed to increased amounts of academic vocabulary or language as well. ELA skills were oftentimes addressed in isolation, or only by the ELA teachers. There is now a set of academic standards specific for non-ELA classes, for example, social studies, science, in the areas of reading and writing. A lot of information was just discussed regarding changes from the Pennsylvania Academic Standards to the PA Core Standards. What is important is to keep in mind the role standards have within our curriculum. For this, I have two quotes which I believe articulate their role extremely well. The first quote, "The standards define what all students are expected to know and be able to do, not how teachers should teach." And the second quote, "The standards are like the building code. Architects and builders must attend to them, but they are not the purpose of their design. The house to be built or renovated is designed to meet the needs of the client in a functional and pleasing manner, while also meeting the building code along the way." Concluding thoughts. I hope this presentation has helped provide you with a deeper understanding of the PA Core standards. Through the subsequent links, you will be able to see exactly how the PA Core standards impact instruction within each building. We are hopeful that these presentations will provide you with a deeper understanding of how we are using these new blueprints to build our collective house. Thank you.